Hi there guys, Sam here. You join me once again in the Golf R for what seems to be like the windiest day. Yeah, for just another bit of an update, actually a little bit around the T-Roc R, which was recently sort of announced in the Geneva Motor Show, just to have a little bit of a discussion around that really, and sort of comparing it a little bit to the Golf R. But yeah, before I get kind of straight into it, so yeah, in the Golf R, sort of just over sort of 17,000 miles now. It's been faultless. There's been no issues really on it. Thanks again for your feedback on a few little minor problems, really minor. One being this sort of like hatch. Managed to get like I actually think I've got it, to be fair. Managed to get this stuck around the back of it. It's just a plastic, I don't even know what it is. I'm keeping it, probably at my own risk, because it's probably going to fall down something else soon. But yeah, I got really good advice actually on a little bit. I actually managed to get it out with a straw, and after probably about 20 minutes of trying to get it out, managed to get enough grip on it on the other side, because it's very tight and difficult down there. Managed to get it out, and now it shuts and opens perfectly fine, so absolutely brilliant. Also a little bit of feedback on sort of like the automatic handbrake. Obviously, it's something that wouldn't actually happen on a DSG car. But I think the reason why it probably happened on the occasion I did it was potentially because I was in gear. I didn't quite think about that before. But either way, I've never had it since. The auto parking brake has been brilliant, by the way. For reference, it's, you know, you put your foot on the brake anytime, let it off, it'll hold it. It's been fantastic. Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened when it just stalled that one time. But yeah, it's been great, and you know, I've been thoroughly enjoying it. Wanting to get out on a more of a fun drive, which I'll share with you once get the time. You know, the weather's nicer, so yeah, hopefully enjoy the car a little bit more for what it's kind of designed to. So yeah, a little bit around the T-Roc R. So obviously loads of cars released on the Geneva Motor Show. You know, if you're into your cars and your videos, there's so many out there. You know, there's almost too much out there really. The amount of cars that were released, some a little bit obscene. You know, tens of millions of pounds for some, but the T-Roc R was something that caught my eye, and particularly how they're almost mimicking the Golf R, even with some of the upgrades. Like you can get a T-Roc R with like an Akrapovic exhaust. You know, it's got the decent brakes. You know, it's got the same sort of colour. It's basically a Golf R jacked up, really. And I was trying to think what the main kind of purpose of it. You know, there's such a, particularly in like the UK, there's quite a big perception over sort of a mini SUV being extremely popular, when in reality it is kind of a bit more of a style thing. For example, my Golf R here, realistically, okay, let's say if it was in a 5-door, practicality wise, there's not actually leaps and bounds. You know, it's not like you're going from a Golf R to a Touareg or a Tiguan. It's a T-Roc. It's just a Golf a little bit higher. For example, I've got to get my bike in the back of here, and you know, I can get it in without even taking the front wheel off on kind of my race bike. And so practicality wise, it's really great. I'll drop some pictures in because I haven't done it yet. But space wise, it seems I don't really think it's that much different compared to a T-Roc R, and that can be, you know, it kind of doesn't really make sense of why you'd want to go for it for sort of like a space wise. Hopefully you can see as well from sort of like the pictures, it fits in nicely. And it isn't too difficult to put in. You know, it's the square box shape makes things so much easier. And again, for even loading and stuff, the car's lower to the ground, so you can easily get it in. The fact that it's got a 4-wheel drive system in the boot means you have to have the boot kind of at that level, and as a result, it's easier to load. It's flat. It's great. It's really practical. So space-wise, I don't necessarily understand it. I'm sure it's a little bit more accessible in the back, and potentially it's a little bit bigger in the boot, but on that side I don't massively get it. And obviously that's the main purpose of it, because you're going to lose a little bit of performance, although it's extremely quick. It's 4.9 to 60, 296 brake horsepower, 280 pounds-foot for torque. It's the same the trusty EA 888 engine, which goes in absolutely everything these days, and too right as well. It's a great engine. You know, I would generally like to try one actually, just whenever it hits the shores, just try it at a dealer just for the sake of it, because my impression is it's taller, so you don't get as good a centre of gravity, so it's going to roll, and as a result it's not going to be quite as fun. But then for normal day-to-day use, is it comfortable? Because is it more comfortable than a standard Golf R, let's say, because it's higher up, the suspension travels a little bit better. But I've plenty of discussions with you guys in the comments who have like the adaptive dampers on the Golf R, and it's really it's a more than a comfortable car on that side, with still the ability to be hardcore. I know it's not sort of like maybe like a Focus RS or a Civic Type R, or even like the Club Sport S, but you do notice it when you compare this car to another car. It handles really well, really tight, really sharp, and that's a lot of the enjoyment actually of it. When you're going around corners or roundabouts, I'm constantly sort of like looking, trying to pin the line, and it's great fun. It's part of the whole car, because the chassis is so lower to the ground. It's able to sort of hold its line. It's a more fun car to drive in my opinion. I kind of look at the T-Roc R in the same way as I'd look at like a GLA 45. So when I first was looking for sort of like a hot hatch, one of the first cars I drove was an A45. It was on like a 64 plate, and that was loads and loads of fun. And I remember talking to the salesman there, because obviously they get their own Mercedes, and he had a kid, and he was like, I had to go from the A45 to the GLA, it's easier, more accessible, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, fine, which kind of makes sense in the A-Class, because that model of the A-Class was pretty poor really for, the boot was really weirdly shaped compared to this, which is basically just like box shape, which is pretty much perfect. So I can kind of understand that. But one thing he did say, he said it's nowhere near like the same to drive. Rolls more, it's not as fast, etc, etc. So you lose that from the standard A45 just because it's got the same engine. It just shows how important the chassis is. And I know the T-Roc R is obviously going to take over plenty of little bits from the Golf R, but it's not going to be the same to drive. Maybe in the real world it's more easier to live with. I'm not so sure. So the standard Golf for me sort of does it all anyway, so the T-Roc R doesn't necessarily make sense. They're obviously releasing it because there is a marketplace for it. There is a huge demand for these type of cars, but yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one. I do like some of the SUVs. Like I really like, say, that the Macan GTS. I think that's just such a cool car, but it's actually quite a bit bigger than, say, like a T-Roc, and actually it's not actually that much bigger in size in reality than even like a Golf. And that for me kind of loses the purpose. You're just carrying around extra weight and an extra size. So many cars on the road. You've got to park the thing and stuff like that. What's really the point of it? But I am interested to know your thoughts, because obviously a lot of you have Golf Rs. Would it be something that you consider? Do you have a family? Do you feel that your current Golf R, if you use it as a daily, you would want to go for a T-Roc R? Really interested to know your thoughts on that. It's another exciting car to talk about. It's I think it looks all right, and I'm sure it does go all right as well. But I don't think it can replace something like what it's based upon, the Golf R. I really think it's sort of set the precedence of so many cars that have sort of come before it, and it really is an icon that will kind of be talked about, I reckon, sort of like 10-15 years time, be like, oh yeah, the Golf R is such a well-known car that kind of kicked a lot of things off in this kind of decade, if you will. And I absolutely love it. If I had a family, would I be eking out for a T-Roc R? No, the only thing I'll probably be eking out for is a 5-door one, or a less expensive car, because the odds of me being able to afford a Golf R and kids and all the rest that comes with it is very unlikely. But it's an interesting one, and to be honest, nothing really else from just browsing through a little bit of the stuff from Geneva really caught my eye. Just I'm more into the everyday kind of cars, and the other stuff is just it's great to know a whatever £10 million Bugatti is great, but let's be honest, you're never going to see one on the road, and no one's ever going to own one or take it out. So I am interested to know your thoughts, and it's part of the Golf R community as well, and yeah, let me know on that one. So that's it. So a quick little video, really, just a little bit of an update on that. The car's been fantastic. Thanks so much again for sort of like the feedback in the comments and interacting with the channel. It really helps to build the community. Also, the subscribers and the views. It's yeah, it means a lot, and you know, I'm glad you're kind of enjoying the content, and you know, plenty more to come. I really want to get out in it and drive it. Really, I think yeah, definitely go for a blast on the Sunday. Is well needed, and please, you know, let me know your thoughts on the T-Roc R, what you think about it from certainly your perspective, and let us all know in the comments. Other than that, you know, please like, share and subscribe for more content on my Golf R. But you know, have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you again next time. But thanks very much for watching. Cheers guys.